You see, once upon a time, if a man questioned another man's honor, he didn't do it from the shadows. He had to do it out in the open, with his name, his chest out, and his chin high.
I get it. So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything. If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it so that they can stay in place, what benefit is that if I lose my integrity? You got to go in as a principal.
So funny, like my friend said to me, rappers, they're all so tough until you hear their real name.
Yeah, or until you see them at a puffy party.
Oh.
Then they're not tough no more. I'm surprised that the rap game is still alive.
Terrence Howard just let off a bomb, saying Diddy came at him on some wild mess, and now folks out here sending him death threats. Why? Cause he pulled the curtain back on what really went down at them wild Diddy shindigs. And now, folks acting shook. Terrence been throwing shade for years, dropping little gems about Hollywood's dirtiest little secret, what really was going down at Sean Diddy Combs' notorious get-togethers. But now the Fed's on his neck, and his after-hours freak fest ain't just rumors no more, and it's getting real. And Terrence, man, he calling folks out. It kicked off with a straight-up jaw-dropper on Bill Maher's show. Maher made a crack about how rappers don't sound hard once you hear their real names. Terrence slid in with a sharp one aimed right at Diddy. Or when you catch him at one of Puff's Lil soirees, they don't look too gangsta then.
So funny, like my friend said to me, rappers, they're all so tough until you hear their real name.
Yeah, or until you see them at a puffy party.
Oh.
Then they're not tough no more. I'm surprised that the rap game is still alive because the masculinity that the rappers are supposed to portray.
What is it with all the man-on-man action that I'm learning about? I mean, like with the puffy parties, like the last thing I ever thought that went on there was gay stuff. Not that gay stuff was wrong, it's wonderful. I just did not think that's what Puffy was doing.
Yeah, well, I didn't think it either. And even when my assistant said that stuff, I still was like joking it off. And it wasn't until later on that I heard other things from people that worked from him. You know, you remember that back in the times of slavery, they had a thing called breaking the buck, where they would take, not to go in a bad place, but this is how I see what's happening, the parallels with what's happening correlates what's happening in the business. If they, back in the times of slavery, if they had like some 12-year-old slave that was just full of himself and confident and, wasn't listening, they would tie him to a log or a barrel. And a bunch of the overseers would to where when he walked around with the slaves now, he didn't have the confidence.
Sure.
He was broken, and it was called breaking the buck.
Wow.
And that's still taking place. And so to hear that people in the industry are still making young rappers who have fought the worst of circumstances, being disenfranchised, being discounted, and then they finally like, I'm gonna put it into music. I'm gonna do it in the music. I'm gonna, and get myself together, and they go and see someone and they tell them, okay, yeah, you can have a deal. Perform fellatio on me, and you get your deal. That was what I heard while I was on Empire about some of the people in the business. And Petey Pablo, you remember Petey Pablo?
I know who that is.
Petey Pablo, talented writer, singer. Him and Young Buck wrote a song called Ho Is On. And in that song, back in about 2011 or 29 or something, because he called out all of the homosexual taking place at those parties and those people, he was kicked out of the music business. No radio station would play his stuff. So you look for Petey Pablo, he's not around anymore. But that song, Ho It's On, they did not care. They went all in on it.
Hold up, what do you mean by that? That one line right there peeled the whole lid off a hidden world. Terrence saying the so-called tough guy image in hip-hop been watered down, all for a little taste of fame. He broke it down like this: dudes straight up sacrificing their manhood just to sit at Diddy's table, both figuratively and for real, which means some of them stars y'all look up to might not be as spotless as you believe. Names like LeBron James, Usher, even Leonardo DiCaprio been whispered about, all said to have popped up at them wild Diddy nights. Terrence even said Diddy once tried to pull him into a private coaching session, and yeah, that whole vibe felt off. He told me he wanted help with his acting. I show up, dude sitting there just staring, no lines, no script, nothing. Then my assistant leaned over and said, I think homeboy trying to smash.
But when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the Puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there, because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man card, no matter what.
Man, I mean, one of the things you're seeing, you went to a whole different place.
Sorry.
No, I get it. So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything. If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it so that they can stay in place, what benefit is that if I lose my integrity? You got to go in as a principal. And what we were brought in here as men. We produce 1,500 sperm per heartbeat for a reason, because the aggression is necessary. You don't trade that in, no matter what.
Hey, did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there, just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He was like, I think he's trying to. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept. So always be the man in the room. And that's always been my whole thing. And I've lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that. Because the man card means everything.
Oh, hey, everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so. Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Here, and I'm sure that's probably not public information yet, but who's the person that's number one on that invitation list?
Leonardo DiCaprio. and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you
New
over
York
to
City.
something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor Camp.
Yeah,
Flavor
that's what it
Camp.
was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
In the 90s, do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I
Come
mean,
on.
but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you
I
seeing?
went there to see the lifestyle,
Right.
And I saw it, and it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild. It was,
So nobody tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't
But
say
you
that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place, and I didn't necessarily understand.
Let's not act brand new. A lot of these same celebs got loud mouths when it come to politics too. Big time Kamala Harris cheerleaders, deep pocket donors to the Democrats, and sitting real comfy in them high society cliques. So ask yourself, did Diddy keep something on him? Blackmail? Secret tapes? With all the chatter about Puff recording folks in their most private moments, how many of them sweating bullets wondering what might leak next? Ever since Terrence aired it out, he's saying industry folks been pressing him, threatening him behind the scenes. But instead of ducking, dude stood 10 toes down, calling him out to handle it like grown men. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "Tell him to step up, say it to my face."
Before y'all talk about me, y'all need to talk to me. You see, once upon a time, if a man questioned another man's honor, he didn't do it from the shadows. He had to do it out in the open. For his name, his chest out, his chin high. Not hiding behind a keyboard or tucked behind editing clips of fair use disclaimers. You see, citing Section 107 of the Copyright Act does not give you free rein to defame, misrepresent, or harm another's reputation. Fair use is not a shield for character assassination. So here's the simple truth. If you take my words, my image, my ideas, and twist them to feed your fear and inflate your ego, if you profit off of my name while calling me a liar, then be prepared to stand behind your accusations. Because in the old world, men didn't hide behind anything when they spoke against someone. They had to speak it with their whole being. And if you're going to speak against me, then use the same courage that it took for me to say those truths. Man to man, eye to eye, integrity and in truth. I've spent a lifetime earning the right to speak with the conviction about these truths that I speak. So if you want to tear that down, have the decency to come and say it directly to my face. And say it like a man. If you're going to talk about the geometry, have other geometries to argue against it. If you're going to talk about the supersymmetry, speak of other supersymmetries that would work against it. If you're going to talk about the white papers, provide your own white paper as an argument to argue against the equations or the conclusions. But we're going to do this respectfully, otherwise we'll end in a duel. And I mean a duel, real life duel, where only one person walks away. We can meet with guns, bottles, knives, or books and equations. But we're going to do this like men. So, get ready.
Let's not act like this brand new tea. 50 Cent been throwing shade at Diddy's weird ways for years, but folks brushed it off like he was just joking or stirring up mess. But now, looking like 50 might have been one of the first ones ringing the alarm. He done said over and over why he steered way clear of them Diddy throwdowns. And why? Cause something always felt off. 50 even said he almost messed up a whole wedding behind Diddy moving funny around him. Had him real uncomfortable. Now picture that. You trying to vibe at a wedding and all of a sudden you sidestepping weird vibes from one of the biggest bosses in the game. And then there's that infamous line, Diddy wasn't in the closet, he was in the hallway.
All right, so when he said the shopping line, in real life, what did you say?
I said, let me get away from him. Because it was like, he was like, yo, you hot now. Now we got to hang out now. Like, hang out.
Yeah.
He said, I don't know, man. I take you shopping and I get you some flash and you can give me the hood. I was looking and I was like, let me just move away from him because I'm going to mess up the win. I always say to myself, like, as I'm
It was someone's wedding.
It was Chris Lighty's wedding. So I'm like, you know what he said? That was this. And I looked at him like, yo. You heard what he just said, right? He's like, yo, certain things didn't let it go by because it's Puff. Like, they would look. Like, he would say stuff, but it's like, he wasn't like in the closet, he was like in the hallway. Now you see so much in the way. No, this is visible. I was in the hallway. We saw a video. He comes out later, you're like, that's not the closet. He didn't give a I didn't do nothing Puffy did. It hurts.
Yeah, no, it was just so, there was just so excitement. There's so much excitement that there was no reason for me to put something in our drink. Oh, man. I need you to remember. I need you to remember this.
The foundation.
Yeah.
All kinds of seconds.
Okay.
Right in the middle of all this madness and the storm of claims circling Sean Diddy Combs, an old video just popped back up online, and it got folks straight up squirming. In the clip, Diddy's real casual, holding the camera at one of his wild house parties, but what come out his mouth next? Man, it sent the internet into orbit. You hear him plain as day. Nat, move over, you still breathing? He's the real DJ. DJs ain't supposed to be laid out like that. But hey, that's what happened when you hit a Diddy party. Then he laughs like it's all jokes. I put him to sleep. Run that back, Diddy. What exactly you mean by put him to sleep? And how'd you do it? Cause look, this wasn't no shaky leaked clip from behind closed doors. Diddy filmed this himself like it was a trophy, like he was proud.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, for all those in London that don't know what happens to the white man when he comes to a P. Diddy party, this is what happens to the white man.
It's so unfortunate.
You gotta pull back though, let it get see. Just Craig over. Matt, move out the way. You're still alive. Look at that. Look. What you threw the drink at his head? And that's James from Simeon Mobile Disco. He is a actual DJs aren't supposed to pass out, but when they come to one of my parties, this is what happens to him. He said, I put him to sleep.
Next day, right?
Yeah, put the drink on his head. There you go. There it is. Wobble. Damn.
And when you start piecing this all together, Terrence Howard ringing alarms, 50 Cent side-eyeing for years, Jaguar Wright dropping them firebomb truths, it's real hard not to ask just how many folks got put to sleep at these parties. And even deeper than that, why were they being put to sleep in the first place? What was really going down behind them closed doors? Most of us done seen them flashy clips of Jay-Z, Pharrell, and Kanye throwing back drinks at Diddy's over-the-top 50th birthday bash, but now something wild just came to light that nobody saw coming. In some freshly surfaced exclusive footage, word is Sean Diddy Combs threw one of his infamous freak-off parties at his old New York mansion, and what went down got folks straight up disturbed. But hold up, it don't stop there. Guests say when you walked in you was met with wild decor, and not far off, strippers doing they thing like it was a full-on underground carnival. The vibe, no rules, just chaos. Essence magazine backed it up, said the scene was real, confirmed, and documented. But if that wasn't already enough to make you blink twice, peep this. Roland Martin, yeah, that Roland, a loud Democratic voice and media figure, caught on cam living it up right there with Diddy.
I'm staying slowly, I'm not getting what after me. It seems very much like it. So, something half a thing. I'm always spinning just like shots to at the start. The one in the current is like, I'm starting. Oh, no, that's not the new thing. Okay, turn this out. Let's wake up. Petersville, Middle good. It's my birthday party, and we got the first black president for. Really what the fuck being done and doing which my name supposed to be. This is God excellence. Sean's all look better than some. Ladies, the only one is really someone in the yeah. Man, we put this down. Come on. Yeah. You know the just right again. We put him on the table. I mean, they're like, I'm blaming all that to it. It's every time. Forgive when you feel the eat up twist. Please just one dog up my dearly bum now long on the flashy no. The job on every year no. Which was I'm you gonna do my all. In this. And trouble off on the side. It's you. Suppose the last hobby on. I love it. That's right. Look at that. You are that. Wait, when I wake you, they'll give it all out of that word to tell. You got me under the torn after these dogs will be here. Don't see you lane up the race, right? That's a still win high media. Check one time. Wish your birthday, Marty. You know what to say, because it's a celebration. A lot of sides. This one is it's a venue celebration. And the rock of world. Every year, I've made a difference. The only song right now is Little House Goliath. It's the new thing.
More footage and receipts supposedly on the way, and word from insiders, even bigger names about to be dragged into this mess. We talking top tier politicians, industry bosses, and media powerhouses, all allegedly tight with them elite, behind closed doors, circles Diddy was known to entertain. At this point, this ain't just some Hollywood drama. This thing might be deeply political. If it's all real, then we looking at a whole web of blackmail, power plays, and dirty favors. What was the point of throwing a party like that in the first place? Who really pulled up and for what reason? And now that folks like Terrence Howard and 50 Cent out here speaking with no filter, how many of those powerful folks out here losing sleep wondering who's gonna talk next?
His freak out parties. In attendance were celebrities, politicians, athletes, international dignitaries like British royalty, Prince Harry, and music label executives. Lil Rod claimed some of the biggest names in the recording industry sponsored these parties with underagers, drugs, and underage girls. The CEO of Universal Music, Lucian Grange, is named as a defendant. So is the former CEO of Motown Records, Ethiopia, Habert Mariam, and others. Lil Rod says hidden cameras were in every room of Diddy's homes. Lil Rod believes that Mr. Combs possesses compromising footage of every person that has attended his freak-off parties and his house parties. Salacious tapes of Hollywood's biggest names, including record CEOs and politicians, doing drugs and cavorting with practicants and minors. The complaint argues that these freak-off parties were a business model. Young and up-and-coming talent attended and were promised career opportunities and access to music executives. They were then plied with drugs and alcohol, filmed. Some were blackmailed. There was a quid pro quo, according to the complaint. Lil Rod said not only were these music executives sponsoring these parties, they were handing Diddy large sums of cash that he used to pay for the freak promoters and drugs. Something tells me the IRS is going to be interested.
Right in the middle of all this chaos, the silence is starting to crack as the pressure on Diddy's freak-off parties keeps mounting and new proof keep popping up. Some brave celebs finally stepping up, speaking out with guilt, remorse, and standing with the victims who've been holding in their pain for too long. Terry Crews is one of those heroes, known not just for his comedy and action flicks, but for his boldness in calling out the Hollywood mess. Now Terry's taking a solid stand, and let's be real, it's fresh, it's strong, and it's way past time.
It's Terry Crews. I am an actor, author, former athlete, advocate, and a survivor of assault. This past year, we have seen powerful men in Hollywood and elsewhere finally held accountable for harassment and assault. We also saw the backlash survivors faced after coming forward. I wanted these survivors to know that I believed them, I supported them, and that this happened to me too. This encouraged me to come forward with my own experience and reflect on the cult of toxic masculinity that exists in our society. Then, in 2016, while at a party with my wife, I was sexually assaulted by a successful Hollywood agent. The assault lasted only minutes, but what he was effectively telling me while he held my genitals in his hand was that he held the power, that he was in control. The first reaction was to be violent. And I immediately held back.
Why weren't you? You're a big, powerful man. Why didn't you?
Senator, as a black man in America.
Say it as it is. I think it's important.
You only have a few shots at success. You only have a few chances to make yourself a viable member of the community. I'm from Flint, Michigan. I have seen many, many young black men who were provoked into violence, and they were in prison, or they were killed, and they're not here. My wife, for years, prepared me. She said, if you ever get goaded, if you ever get prodded, if you ever have anyone try to push you into any kind of situation, don't do it. Don't be violent. And she trained me. I'll be honest with you. It was the strength of my wife who trained me and told me, if this situation happens, let's leave. And the training worked.
But has there been retaliation against you for what you are saying now to the public?
Thank you for your question, Senator. One specific incident of retaliation was I've done 3 movies called The Expendables with Sylvester Stallone. The producer of that film called my manager and asked him to drop my case in order for me to be in the 4th installment of the movie. And if I didn't, there would be trouble.
Oh dear. Senator Klobuchar.
Well, thank you very much. Are you going to be in the 4th installment, I hope?
No. Because, simply because, I'm sorry, thank you for your question, Senator.
That's good. That's very polite. Thank you.
Yes. Simply because this same producer is he's under his own sex investigation. And abusers protect makers. And this is one thing I had to decide whether I was going to draw the line on, am I going to be a part of this or am I going to take a stand? And there are projects I had to turn down.
Howard's story about Diddy's unsettling advances has sent shockwaves through the industry. Could it be that Diddy's influence goes even deeper than anyone realized? And that his power over people was not only physical but psychological too? The idea that Diddy might have used his status to manipulate and control other stars is no longer just a rumor. Could this be a pattern? A series of manipulations meant to entrap those who wanted to rise in Hollywood and the music industry? As the storm around Terrence Howard's explosive revelations continues to swirl, Big Homie, Double C, and a number of other well-known figures are jumping into what they think about the same.
No, I seen an interview with Terrence Howard. He said Diddy tried to bang him.
Damn.
He was trying to meet up with DJ. He was trying to meet up with Terrence for weeks, and finally they met up. You know,
Deadlift, folks.
when they met up, it was like nothing was happening. Like Diddy was like used it as an excuse, like I want you to help me with my acting, but they wasn't doing no acting. It was just Diddy was just like staring at him and shit.
The deadlift.
Looking at him weird. You know, they hung out, showed him some music, and nothing really happened. You know, and so the assistant was like, he wants to, you know, he probably just likes you and wants to really get to hang out with you and do something with you. And Terrence said that was like the last time that he ever went around Diddy.
Let's make this clear right now. For all of you industry people, this type of circus, we are against Zest monsters. We are not against the rainbow community. No, not at all. But if you a Zest monster and you trying to force your way festivities on to other people, nice work, brother. Just know this, I am the big Dufini. I'm telling you right now, if I ever come to any of y'all establishments, do not play with me. Please don't play with me.
So Diddy told his assistant that real power, allegedly he said this, that real power is getting a straight man to suck his...
See? Dude! Hey, Gam! Hey, you locked in, Gam, because I had to pause waiting for you. You feel me? I see you locked in, okay. Gam, that type of shit can kill folks. I ain't gonna lie. See, here's the thing, bro. Now, when I first came out saying what I was saying, instead of trying to say I was lying, I understand you see what's going on, but hey, everybody not lying on dude, bro. And now you know how many people are complicit in this type of activity. Now you know a lot of the people that y'all idolize and y'all worship, I would have been putting a lot of them, this is what they do, bro. This is what they do, bro. A lot of them been in the dumpster, Gordo. Y'all see how my homie is, bro. So imagine I got my brother with me and he's seeing certain stuff. He'll say, Gordo, we gonna wait in the car, bro. We putting his ass in dumpster. It'll make you mad, but you know, they do little things. Like, you know, one of the little things they do is a guy come put his arm around you like this. Suffocation. You feel me? I'm gonna suffocate his ass. Fold now. You gotta die. And then you will see like a guy, a come give you a real crazy hug. Now, if you don't respond certainly, you're gonna die. Now they finna ask you. I'm just letting them know. Come back into this room with us. We gonna party some more. Cause I'm gonna tell you something, man. I'm real close. Yeah, I'm real close to really bringing down it. We off the grid with them, it's about to get crazy. So we gonna start putting all that shit out there. I'm not gonna lie to you, because Cam, bro, I can say some next time, I got proof, receipts, bro, that can really shake up the whole, shake off, to have people shivering in fear, bro. I swear to God, on the gas, on my granny grave. Don't come trying to hug me, I'm gonna bust it to every bottle. I swear to God. You ain't play with me like that. Oh shit, they got the new Dufini activated.